person done in Norcross.
I got here early. Amtrak was early this morning. We had an incredibly interesting day yesterday up on the hill. And but before I begin, certainly Kath, who've done such a terrific job, and in bringing this together, it's so important. I saw Colonel Warner, who we've worked together since I guess we brought the battleship home. It's been a decade. Yeah, it's been a few days there. And to certainly my friends out at Joint Base who were down to visit me 2 days ago to talk about the NDAA, which is the all-encompassing bill that we passed out of the House, and it's got 2 more steps before we implement it, because certainly our highest and #1 priority in this country is to make sure we stay safe. Through all of those of you who have served, we owe a great deal of gratitude. But talking about helping veterans, and as the questions were coming in, because I had served in the state legislature, I'm sitting there remembering what we had done. And something as simple as, what is a vet, right? Vet, for the average person, a vet is anybody who serves. It's not that easy. And when it comes to veterans preference and civil service in New Jersey, which has one of the best preference programs in the United States of America, that definition is different. Different from the federal civil service program, which is different from the funding. So you literally have to take that into account. Those who have been injured while they serve get a different preference cycle. So it sounds like it should be easy, but it's complicated through those people who have come out. But today it's talking about hiring those who have given us the ability to keep our country safe and secure. And I just want to start out today by saying I hired that, and it was about 2 weeks ago. Adam, where are you? Adam Klein, who comes to us from Wounded Warriors program, a great federal program. Nobody better to help our veterans than one who actually has served and has gone through it. Adam, you're always welcome to many people in this room and what you've done. We also have with us Carl Parker, who is our new district director. Because when it comes to the calls that come into our office, I would say fully between 25 and 30% involve those who have served our country well. So that is something that we strive to make sure that customer service for those who serve is our job one. There's a number of programs out there, but one thing that is absolutely clear when you go to hire somebody who has served our country is A, you can count on them. B, they have extraordinary skills, and those skills come in a variety of sizes and shapes. They know how to take orders, and they certainly know how to give orders. And most importantly, they know how to get a job done. Now, in my previous life, the Helmets to Hard Hats program that we heard about just a moment ago is probably some of my proudest moments. Prior to it hitting that formal name, it was helping those who return home get into the construction industry. I can just give you an absolute example that many of you in this room could probably relate to. My oldest son got out of high school, wasn't sure what he wanted to do, didn't know how to get up in the morning, kind of lazy around, didn't know where he wanted to go. I know that this is a theme that probably every parent in this room can relate to. He joined the forces, the Army. And 3 years later, a young man came home who I didn't even recognize. He knew how to get up in the morning. He knew how to go to work, and he joined the apprenticeship program we went through, and what an amazing difference. And I just use him as an illustration that happens time after time. Those who weren't career officers or grunts understood how to get up in the morning, and they are uniquely qualified for the construction industry. whether they come through the formal helmets, the hard hats program, or they're a direct hire for those construction outfits. They're uniquely qualified because you know what? They know what to do when it's hot outside. Go to work. They know what to do when it's cold outside. Go to work. They've lived this. They are uniquely qualified and make some of the best employees that we have ever had. So keep that on the top of your list. So often, those who have served, and we've had these discussions time and time again, they don't want to hang out. In fact, even hearing that word drives them up the wall. They earned everything they got, and what we owe them as a society, as a country, is an opportunity. And when you provide that opportunity, then you're really bringing it back complete circle. Yesterday, I just mentioned a Colonel, we had the all-encompassing bill called NDAA, which funds our military, that we were able to get passed. But we also want to talk about the funding that comes from a variety of methods. We just announced a $350,000 award to VOA for veteran housing. Now, this housing that they're going to do are for the returning vets, but they also run an important program that I hope we put out of business, and that's for homeless vets. Those are two words we never, ever want to put together. But circumstances as they will, it happens. So VOA does a tremendous job. Back when I served in the Senate, Jimmy Beach, who was my colleague and chaired the Veterans Committee, we put together a number of programs. So I want to give you some good news and some bad news. First, the good news. I authored a bill that the governor signed that created the opportunity to set aside programs and services for veteran-owned businesses or those who employ vets. That's great news. Now the bad news, almost nobody in the state is using it. So we have to use the advocacy of the people in this room to go and to talk about this. If there's engineering, you're allowed under law to set aside to give preference to those companies. It's not being used, not because they don't want to use it, because they're not aware of it. So I've been going out of my way to make sure that that's the way to do it. And the TEAM Act, which actually was signed into law after I went to Washington, which provides for in-state tuition for those who come to us online out of state. That just equals the playing field, because certainly for those who serve, you might come from New Jersey, you might come from Tennessee, but when you're overseas, you're fighting for all 50 states and quite frankly the world, and it needs to be that way. The other item, they talked about the spouse's family, and we had a bill that came through. For those spouses who come to New Jersey, the professional fees are waived for those, whether it's nursing, teaching, and others. So I forget who asked the question. If you want to get a hold of our office, we'll walk you through that. It just cuts down on what we can do for those professional licenses, which goes state to state. So it sets those aside. I want to keep my comments a little bit short, but I want to end up with several comments on how proud I am to be able to advocate on behalf of those, not just because they're sitting here today, because since I've been sworn in November, we have been privy to a number of what they call SCIFs, or classified briefings. And I can tell you unequivocally, the stories that were told in here of missions that you'll never read about in the paper that are keeping our country safe. And it has just renewed in me the spirit of what a great country we have, the heroism that you'll never read about, but keeps you safe in your seat today. So to those of you who have served, to those of you who want to employ those who serve, there's not a better reason than to give that opportunity. serve. So on that, I want to thank everybody for coming in today. Do you have any questions? Deb, do we have time for questions? I went off script, I'm sorry. Anybody?